Cookup.
Good afternoon. I am your host, Sam Love, and we are here back again with another episode of the Cookup. And in this week's episode, we have been graced by the presence of Matt and Shay.
Hello.
Our athletic couple.
Hey, brother.
All right. It's good to have you here. We're so happy to have you here. Shay, I believe you liked one of the posts of Juliana on IG. And I try to check out everybody that likes our posts. Came across your page, saw you and Matt, and I was just like, oh my God, these guys, I have to meet them. And it's been an awesome experience. Freaking killer photo shoot and video shoot down at Redcon. Shout out to Redcon. Awesome place.
Yeah.
And now we have you here. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Very welcome. So, Matt and Shay, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, so we are new Florida residents.
Brand new, brand spanking new.
Transplanted from a good old state of Idaho, famous for potatoes, North Idaho.
Wow.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Wow. So from Idaho to here, that's got to be
3,000 miles and
night and day.
Yeah,
So
and a whole different world.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 8 degrees there right now.
Could not do that.
Yeah, it's snow. Yeah.
Wow.
So we do bodybuilding. We compete, right? We're in the fitness industry. We've been in the fitness industry for years now. And Matt decides that he wants to do Miami Nationals in November.
Okay.
So I let him plan the trip because my experience with Florida was like Orlando. I wasn't super excited about it. So I let him plan the trip. He did Nationals, right?
Yeah, so we ended up doing a little show in late October in Spokane, Washington, and decided after that went well, there was, hey, it's time to try to shot at Nationals in Miami, so we booked the trip for late November.
Nice.
She let me book the whole trip, do the Airbnb, the car rental, got a little convertible, you know.
Right.
He did good. I'm proud.
Actually, I did good. I did good on this one. I'll pat myself on the back.
Yeah.
So we came out here, we fell in love with it. The weather, the people, the culture, the different variety of things. The visual orgasm that is now South Florida. It's something else.
For sure.
You know, it's like a freaking it's a different world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Tropical paradise, basically, down here.
Compared to where you were, definitely.
Yeah. The Arctic tundra of northern Idaho.
So it's our last day in the Airbnb. He booked this little, it's called a love bus. It was on a farm in Homestead.
Nice.
This completely redone bus. It was really cute.
Right.
We're sitting there. It's 10:30 at night. We're both working on our clients' plans, and we kind of looked at each other, and we didn't have to say anything. And every time I tell a story, I get goosebumps because it was it's when the universe speaks to you in such a way you don't question it, right? 100%. It was this undeniable feeling. This is where we're supposed to be, and we looked at each other and we kind of went, okay, and flew back to Idaho the next day. 10 days, we sold everything we owned, all of our cars, everything.
Thank God for Facebook Marketplace. I didn't realize she could sell so much stuff.
Oh, I was on my phone just slinging stuff left and right.
She's a straight hustler, dude. I was like, damn.
We didn't even think about it. We just did it, and we took 2 suitcases each and our dog.
Carry on, two check-ons, two carry-ons.
Yeah.
Carry on each and her dog, and we just made the leap.
Yeah.
Burn the boats, right?
Every time I tell this story, and I'm like,
take that.
I cannot believe I can't believe we did that. But here we are.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's what you got to do. If you get a certain feeling, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to pull the trigger. You just got to jump. You know what I mean?
And it was based on
happens, and here you are though. So.
A feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was a strong feeling, and when things line up, and God steps in, and you've been on a path, and you can see the path. I was more afraid not to take this chance than I'm more afraid not to take this chance than to stick with what we're already doing.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And so even though it was such a big leap of faith, and
and the path is still being revealed to us. We're not we didn't take some big job down here or anything, but we went on a feeling, and we're supposed to be here. We don't know why yet, but we're here. Yep. We're doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys are standing out because it's just again, like I said, to see you guys, it's just I don't know, there's a connection, the energy that you all have, that you guys together have, that's undeniable. So again, you're here. I saw you, and then I was like, I gotta meet them. So it's like definitely just taking a step in the right direction, or taking a new step, it leads you into places where you're supposed to be. So I applaud you guys for that.
Thank you.
Right.
For sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So bodybuilding. So like, how did you guys get into the sport of bodybuilding? You know what I mean? Like, how did you guys get into it?
So I'm a little bit older than Shay, so I got in a little bit before her. I did my first bodybuilding show back in 2009.
Okay.
I actually, always been into sports, always been into lifting weights. So I love lifting weights, I love sports.
Nice.
I was at a point in my life where I needed something to focus on that would bring me back into the gym, bring me back into my training, so that it, basically, you can harness a lot of demons and like get your mind right, you know, and if that's been your outlet.
Yeah.
And I needed that. I own a small business back in California, a NutriShop, a nutrition store, and I wasn't putting the time in the gym, and I was a lot of build up, a lot of stress. So I decided, to pick a bodybuilding show. It was 9 weeks out, 2009 Sacramento show. It was a pro amateur show. So I called up a buddy, the acquaintance that was one of my guys that came to my store. He whipped me a plan, and 9 weeks later, I'm stepping on stage. It was quite an experience. I ended up doing decently well. I had a pretty decent background in weightlifting already, so years of it. So it all worked well. I actually had the pleasure of stepping on stage with Rich Piana, his last show.
Okay.
A lot of people know who Rich is. Yeah, so I stepped up scale and step up scale and turn around, and he was the next guy waiting to weigh in. I waited like 206. He was like 259. I was like, what am I doing here? And they even brought him on stage because he was like the only super heavyweight, which is the biggest weight class in NPC.
Okay.
And they brought him on stage with us as the heavyweights. So that was quite a little remembrance story right there. So I got to meet some pretty big, names in the industry right off the get.
And you've just kept with it since.
Yeah, and so like that's been about 11 years now.
Nice.
I'm competing. Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. And then Shay, how about you?
Yeah. Well, mine is kind of a different story. I got into the fitness industry in 2011.
Okay.
And I was, speaking of struggling with demons, bodybuilding really does help you tame a lot of your own inner demons.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and so I had just dropped out of college. Like I was fresh, drop out of college, right? And I was suffering from pretty severe depression, anxiety, like panic attacks all the time.
Wow.
I had no direction in life, and I was desperate to do anything to make myself feel better. And I went to the gym, and I remember sitting there, and I shoulder pressed the 40s, which is like I'm a small person. Like that was the first moment I think that I felt confident and was like, oh my gosh, like here's a little nugget of success. And I got hooked ever since. It made me feel good, like the endorphin rush and feeling good about yourself. And then I was starting to see the physical changes in my body.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I want to help other people feel like I do because I feel amazing.
Yes.
And so ever since then, it's just kind of been like a maintenance, and I use bodybuilding as a goal just for my own training. And then that's how I got into coaching was, I want to help people feel like this.
All right.
So really, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
again, just the personal experience, and then, you being able to transform that into something that's going to be beneficial for you both. And then, just taking it one step further, just being able to take that and then being able to share it with someone else and helping to train them, that is tremendous.
Yeah.
Even I get the opportunity, even got some footage of you, Matt, training one of your clients over at RadCon on Thursday. And again, you can see the impact. And then, we had a conversation about, the whole deal and how it worked. And it's important, for you to be able to do that and to be able to help other people with something that you love and that you're passionate about, that means something to you. That's so secure. It's so secure.
You get the fulfillment from that.
Yeah.
When you're just helping someone facilitate their progress in the process of reaching their goal. And it is a physical thing, but there's a lot more to it than just the physical.
Physical is just a byproduct.
Right.
It's mental.
It really affects your psychological. When you're doing that and you're putting in the effort there and you're building up putting those little bricks in the wall every day towards your goal, and then you can take that from that physical goal and then put it into your family goals and your financial goals, and the same hard work that you've taken from here, you just put different modalities, different parts of your life. Yeah.
To success in life,
Right.
I think.
And you build that confidence in there. Basically, that's a lot of self-confidence can be built.
Yeah.
Like you do kind of get a bad rap in the fitness world. People being considered narcissistic and vain.
Yeah.
And that does happen. But that happens in any any aspect of life.
It's just humans.
Yeah, that's human beings in general. But there's a lot of people that actually find empowerment, and through that, just through physical activity.
Yeah.
Whether it be with lifting weights or doing Pilates or yoga or anything, rock climbing, dancing, just moving their body, whatever movement resonates with them as satisfying, Yeah, and for us, it really is like lifting weights, like kind of kicking our own ass. Like, it's one of those. Okay, we got a big fire in there. You got to quench it. So everybody's got like a different level of like fire, and different modalities work for different people as far as what's gonna like help them quench that fire.
Nice, man. That's awesome, man. Awesome. And again, you guys are like not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk, which is to me, execution is everything. So that's awesome. Again, just to see you do it. So even in within the industry, within the bodybuilding industry, like what are some personal triumphs, that you have, or what can you think of, like each of you, like one big personal triumph that you're able to, that happens
just have one.
Either or?
Yeah, well, actually, I've been competing for quite a while, and like I've had, there's an unlimited number of second places, and I was like kind of like at that point where I was always almost at the breakthrough. This last year, I got had a good coach, more of a mentor too, even like as far as like giving me the seeing more in me than I saw in myself, even, and kept that basically more than just the numbers of like this weight and this much protein and this much fat, this much carbohydrate. It was like, hey, you can do this, man.
Yeah.
And he's been someone that's been to the top of the pile, so like someone that's climbed the mountain, and so I could listen to and go, yeah, like he walked the walk, right? And so like when somebody else walks the walk and they've done it before, you can like take their word for it. And so I was able to have some really good success. I won my regional bodybuilding show in the class, in bodybuilding, classic physique, and then Spokane, and that was like actually kind of what sparked this whole thing that brought us out to Florida. That was it. We're done. That was the show. I was done for the year. I wasn't even going to do classic physique, which is a portion of one of the bodybuilding classes. We went to the weigh-ins that night. Ran into a buddy. He asked me what I was doing. I told him I was doing bodybuilding. He said, why aren't you doing classic? Anyways, he pushes her over to the promoter. She signs me up behind my back for the show. Walks back over, says, hey buddy, you got to go make weight for classic. So it makes me, because I was a little bit overweight, it makes me go lay down, get up, go to the bathroom.
Like 20 minutes later, he's in.
Right. Then I'm like, hey dude, I don't got no trunks for that class. I got no posing trunks. Call a buddy. He brings in the morning. It all comes together. I end up winning the overall, which is like the top spot for that guy in that division.
Two overalls.
2 overalls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to do that, and then we're like, hey, that's it, we're good. Year's over, accomplished the goal. Had a few buddies reach out to me that are pro bodybuilder, IFBB classic physique pros, and said, hey, you need to go to nationals. And I was like, it's not in the cards.
Yeah.
It's not right now. It's too expensive. This, that, and the other thing. Well, all of a sudden, before I knew it, I had clients coming in left and right. I got bigger sponsorship from my company, Patriot Supplements, who sponsored me more.
Nice.
And we had the funds to make it to the nationals.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we came out here, and that's the story now.
That was a whole
came out here, we did nationals, met some really cool people, and were influential to actually part of us making the move out here.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool enough, man. Cool enough.
Yeah.
How about you, Shay?
Mine's not really like tangible, but I would say my biggest fitness success this last year, because I struggled coming out of the last show mentally, like really getting a grasp on finding balance back in my life, because when you prep for a show, it's very structured, and you can't really do a whole lot like socially, right? And you have I think everyone suffers from some sliding scale of body dysmorphia, because you're never lean enough, you're never big enough, and so I finally found a place where I'm comfortable with my body, and I've always struggled with that pretty much my whole life, like as a young girl to early 20s, right? That was huge for me, to look in the mirror and like not rip myself apart for once, and I still struggle with it, but to get to that point where I'm comfortable, like that's huge.
That's enormous though, because there are so many people, especially in the age of how social media works, where it's like you might be looking at yourself and just be unhappy with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you get to a point where if you have something that will put you in a position where you can be happy with just you, man, that's tremendous.
And it's hard to do. It is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shadow work that goes into that, finding that.
Definitely. And I would say to like, people that are getting into this, that, comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're comparing yourself to people that have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, and you've just started doing this, don't take away from your results by comparing yourself to someone that's been putting in, a couple decades worth of effort into this.
So Cookup.
Because it marginalizes your own results.